Good morning, my name is Stephen Patterson.
And I'm Mariah Mickman.
From Mickman Brothers. Arbor Day is coming up for us, and so we're going to encourage everyone to get out and plant a tree. So
it doesn't just have to be Arbor Day to plant a tree, but we will use this as an excuse to plant a tree. So today we have a red bud, and this is a really nice ornamental tree. This was grown from Minnesota seed, so it's cold hardy and appropriate for our environment. Steve, how do you know what type of tree to choose?
Choose your tree by choosing the correct location, if it's a shade tree or an ornamental tree for a smaller space. Normally by reading the instructions on these little leaflets here, it'll give you an idea of what size it's going to get to, height wise and width wise. So
you're saying, go to the spot where you want a tree planted, look up, look around, see if there's anything in the way. If there's not, you can plant a really big tree, but if it's somewhere really close to your house, or if you have any sort of obstructions, just kind of go more for an ornamental or a smaller statured tree. So we have a hole, don't we?
Yes,
Steve did the hole.
We've already pre-dug this hole, just like on a cooking show. Ready to go.
Yeah, I think he's gonna bury something in here. Just kidding. So
we'll just start by gently pulling it out of the bucket here. Putting this off to the side.
Okay, so the very first thing that you want to do when planting a tree is figure out where the first main root is. And by doing that, you have to go in and dig down, remove some of this top soil, and it looks as if we're actually right at proper planting depth right now. So as you can see here, we have a root going out here, and then there'll probably just be another one just right over here on the other side. Since this was a containerized tree, it's really important to scratch up the outside here. This tree is not root bound at all, which is nice to see. Scratch, 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 because you don't want any of those roots to grow in a circle. You want it to grow outwards. So tree roots always radiate out and not around in a circle to ensure a long, healthy tree. Rough it up as much as you can right now.
Tease them up.
Some people say it's kind of like scratching a dog. So do that as much as possible. And then once that's there, see how Steven's dug a really nice wide hole. We actually have really nice soil where we're planting this tree, so we're not going to amend it at all. So do you want to plop it in there and see if we need to go any deeper or shallower?
So I can probably place a little bit of dirt beneath the tree. It's a little
see, so that's a little bit too. Oh, it's going to show. Put that back in the hole. So see, a way that you can kind of always see is just put your shovel across the hole. Except for I'm kind of on a plant right now. But you want that first main order root to just be right underneath the soil level. So that's too deep.
So just throw a few handfuls of dirt on the bottom.
Tamp it down with your foot or your hand.
Get it nice and level.
You can also take the end of the shovel and use that as a measuring device on the ball as well. But we'll put that back in. What do you think, Steve? Looks pretty good?
Looks pretty good to me.
Okay, the next thing to look at is the branch structure and how you want the main branches to go. This tree, it's young right now, and it pretty much just has lateral facing branches. So we're actually going to twist it and move it this way, just so the branches are going to go out like this for now.
So we've got the more flatter side back against the building.
Yeah, where people walk.
Much more important if you're planting up close to a house. Always put the flatter side up against your house and let the tree grow outward.
Yep. Okay, so then we get to backfill the hole. So with this, just start putting the soil in. I always shove my fingers down into the hole like so, just to make sure that there aren't any air pockets at all, and to make sure that the tree doesn't settle afterwards. So another very important part of planting a tree is planting it straight. Steve, do you want to stand back and see if this tree's straight or not?
Certainly.
get someone with a good eye. Sometimes I look a little cross-eyed at things. And then so Steve will look at it from every angle. And I'm thinking now it might be straight.
So once you get that little bit straight and you're happy with how it looks, then you can fill it right up to the top of the root flare.
Yeah, so that right where that root comes out, that's called the root flare. And that's what we like to see right at the upper surface of the soil. You don't want your trees to look like telephone poles planted just straight into the soil, straight upright like that. You want that little bit of root flare right at the top. It's very, very important for the health of your tree. So we'll just jam that soil in a little bit more.
Keep bedding it down, nice and solid in the ground.
Yeah, but as you can see, this is a nice young tree. This was just in a little number 10 pot, so he has a really nice root system on him, so I think he'll grow really well this season. We aren't going to add any amendments to the soil. Like I said before, we just have a really nice growing soil here. We have good drainage. The soil's not compacted, but if you did have soil where it's compacted, kind of dig a bigger hole and try to loosen up some of that compacted soil just so we can encourage the roots to go out, and maybe mix in just a little bit of compost. Just kind of give the tree a little bit of extra help in the first couple years. Let's see, so now that we've got it pretty well in there, we have some extra dirt, but that's okay. Next we want to water it in.
And one more important thing before that is you can easily test if you can put a little bit deeper, but you just give it a wee wriggle round in the soil, and if it starts to sort of move up around the edges, you might need to compact your dirt a little bit more to make it a little bit more solid in the ground. Probably go a little bit higher in there.
Well, it's kind of, we're not quite level yet. And this little white protective tube is good for protecting it from damage while it's in the nursery, but you don't need it in your yard. They're a good idea to have on, again, in the fall and the winter for some of the thinner bark trees, because it can help with winter burn or sun scald. So we're actually just going to take that off. We don't need it right now. We'll let the tree just, I don't know, do a little breathing. So there we go. And then, one of the best things you can do for a tree is mulch them. Yay! So anyway, so we got some mulch here that I'm actually sitting on. And we got lots of plants we have to make sure we're not smushing.
So we just push this back up around the base of the tree.
Yep.
Mariah may have mentioned that it's important not to either layer too much dirt up against the stem of the tree, because that could cause some rot. And it's also good once you've mulched underneath the tree just to keep it away from the actual very base of the tree.
Yep, so mulch helps with keeping the soil cool and moist, and also you know, keeping grass out of the way and that kind of thing. As the mulch breaks down, it acts as its own fertilizer. So if you do that, you'll have a healthy little tree. So we'll water this in. It's important to water trees for the first 3 seasons in the ground for sure. You know, every week, kind of depending on how much rain we have, and a slow trickle of water is the best way. You want that water to penetrate deep into the soil, so you're not watering grass. Nope, you're watering a tree. So you want to get that soil into the ground. So just put your hose out on a trickle and leave it out there for, you know, 20 minutes, kind of depending on your soil as well. But get those watered in deep and get those trees healthy and established. And then we'll have tall trees for years and years and years to come.
So get out there and make the right choices on the right tree for the right spot, and enjoy your Arbor Day and go out there and find a tree.
Yeah, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us over at Mickman Brothers. Our website is www.mickman.com, or send us some questions via Facebook. Happy Arbor Day, everybody.
Happy Arbor Day. See you. Bye.
Bye.